Well, I've been itching to get things done, but the weather has not been on my side. Well, it's November. Where did that come from? Just crept up. And, well, I want to get the messy jobs done, really, before the torrential rain sets in. But you know how it is. There's just too many things to do at once. So today I'm going to finish off this raised bed. I've cut the ends to size and I've got the brackets turned to right angles, so it won't take me long to get that finished. And then there's a few things that are pressing around the plot which I need to get on with, but I have got a few things to show you that are pretty astounding really for this time of year. Let's take a look. Yesterday I popped over to the plot between showers and I noticed that these sprouts were absolutely being chewed to pieces, and there was a whole new flush of caterpillars. Look how they've decimated the leaves on that one. And they're, well, I think they're a cabbage white caterpillar. There's one. So all those of you that are in the know will know exactly what that is. But I reckon I've removed, well, 20 or 30. There's another one in there. So there's nothing short of manual removal of these. And well, since I found them, I'm popping over to take a look frequently because of course they get under the leaves, and without turning over every single leaf you just don't know where they are. But I think that's all I've got for now. So a little bit of warmth, that frost came and go. It only lasted one day and then the caterpillars seem to revive and flourish. So keep an eye on your brassicas as well, because thinking that the same might happen on any of them, but they seem to be faring okay, and they're certainly nice and strong now. Can't see anything on those. Yeah, there's one. There's one of those little green devils. He's coming off. So a number of different caterpillar species seem to have survived that bit of frost. There's another one. And they're beginning to flourish again. So yeah, word of warning. I was amazed when you compare these, which have been staked and growing strongly, with the ones in my raised bed which were attacked badly and were quite a long way behind. Let me show you. So just look at the vigour of those purple sprouting broccoli. Absolutely stunning. And I think what's happening here is, although those over there have been planted longer and have had less pest attacks, these are bedded into a very good compost. That has only had a couple of toppings of compost since I made that bed, whereas this has been constant turnover of new compost that I've made year on year, and you can just see how it flourishes once the plants get going. So that's great news, and I can't see any pests on those either. And then this morning, who'd have thought, here we are, beginning of November, and I've got a beautiful climbing rose coming out. Look at that. There's buds on there that are going to flower, and at the same time we've got rose hips. So a bit of warmth making a difference to a number of plants. The continual rain that we've had over the last couple of days, you can see how it's just sort of flattened the path, and the compost made it very soggy, although this does dry out quite quickly being compost. You can see over here remainder of the puddles, and there's more clay under there. But I got to get down here and do these right angles, so I'm definitely going to need my kneeling pad this morning. Right, let's get this job cracked. Right, try and keep my knees out of the wet soil this morning. Okay, so these are the brackets which were flat and I've changed to right angles in the vise, and all I'm going to do is pop them in here and fix them much the same way as I have the plates on the outside. Shouldn't take me too long, as long as I don't drop the screws like I did last time. Right, let's get underway. I'm going to put two, I think, together, just so that I get maximum strength. I do think I'm going to have to lift the ends of these planks just to put the ends on. There we go. And that means that this will come under strain, so I just want to make sure that it's good and strong. Right, one more just to hold. This is a long screw. Job done. Right, I'll carry on with these, all four corners, and then we'll look at the ends. Well, that was hard work, especially because it's wet and slippy. And I know some of you will be saying, they're nail plates, why didn't you just use nails? Well, I think I've demonstrated that having maneuverability of everything, being able to switch it around and change it, can be pretty key, and screws are a lot easier to remove than nails. So that's my logic anyway. Right, two ends, and then the construction here is done. Okay, to put these ends in, I'm going to use these sort of painted hexagonal screws. They've got like a bolt finish to the end, which is fantastic because you can get such a firm grip on them, and they drive home pretty easily in my experience. So, as I've said in my previous video, these pieces of wood taken from the old bed that I dismantled are in fact a bit thinner than the ones that are going across, and it's not going to be easy to get in here, so I'm just going to lift it and do my best to get a good fixing, and then when it's fixed I may be able to lift it and put another one in. Let's see. Yeah, pretty firm. They go in so well. Right, get the other one done and then get onto the other end. Well, it feels good to have done that. That's a completely constructed set of, well, really 3 raised beds from previously used wood from the other side of the plot. And that feels gratifying not to have had to spend any money or waste anything. So I'm really pleased with that. And one fine summer's day, I'll probably try and fit something under those ends just to make up the difference in height. Probably a bit of tuber 1 as we call it. Right, next step for me is to just get the excess of soil that I know sitting at the bottom of that compost area into this bed. Then anything I want to do up there, I know I'm using the surface that's going to be permanent. Right, I think I might take my jacket off for this. Amazing how much soil it takes to fill a raised bed. Very deceiving, and that will in reality just be a couple of inches. And you can see here where I've removed the best. If I go down just a little way, you start to see the clay. There it is. And that's another reason why having the compost bins at the top end here is good, because this was one of the weaker growing areas, and really the crops were only growing in the compost that I lay on the top, because you hit clay pretty quickly, and the square gets better as you go down till you get to the bottom, and there's a good 12 inches of soil before you get to the clay bed. So I think that's going to work well. I'll spread that out, see what it looks like, and just have a crack at this bit, and then that'll be this area prepared. Last bed nearly filled up. There was a lot of compost. It was much deeper down on the right hand side, and there we are. Pretty much instant raised beds. Well, not instant, I guess. There was quite a lot of work in there, as you've seen, but not really a huge job. And once I get my homemade compost on top of that soil, we'll have a good growing medium. I'm absolutely sure of that. And it's also flattened off nicely the compost bins. So I think I'm going to get away from this area for a short while and do a few other things, because it's good to mix it up. Well, my last hens have gone, and I found a great home for them. There's a gentleman just on the corner of this plot who's got a good few hens, and he's a real enthusiastic guy, and it's great to have them only a few hundred yards away from where they lived. They're used to the climate, and I get to go and see them whenever I want, which is fantastic. So this area now is, well, able to be downsized like the rest of this area that I've been working on. So I've got a few things to do. The gentleman's going to have this whole coop, which I'm delighted about, because, well, I know it's in good condition. It's handmade by me. I know it'll last him years and years, and that'll be a great home for my hens, of course. So I'm delighted at that. So he's going to be dismantling this over time, and I will use some of the elements around it that I know will be useful on the downsized plot. So I'm going to start that today just by removing this water butt, which I have no more use for. So I'm going to let the water run out of it, and then I'm going to carry on and see if I can get these corrugated iron panels out for the back of my compost area. And that might mean moving a bit of compost, but I've got a few good areas to move it onto now, so a bit of transportation as well. I had a bit of a tug at this one the other day, and it seemed to move relatively easy. So fingers crossed that will be the case. I think it just needed a bit of a firm pull. Yes, look at that. So it'll be good. I said I was just going to get out of that area, but it'd be good just to feed this in and see how it sits behind those pallets. Right, let's have a go. Well, I had a good look at this wooden structure at the back, and unlike the sides, it's not as rotted. So I'm beginning to think leave it in. It'll just act as good retention for this upper area. Let's just slot this one in. So, of course, the other pallets need to come in place and probably move back on it to give it rigidity. But it gives you an idea of the retention that it helps with. And then my wheelbarrow, I'm hoping will be at just the right height. Yes, just to tip it straight in. So that's working out really well. And I think I'll see if I can move those last two panels. I don't know whether it's going to stretch the whole way, so that'll be interesting too. Woo-hoo. Look at that. They fit perfectly. Awesome. It does make it clear that that one rises a bit towards the end. That's okay. I think I'm just going to take out a very shallow groove before I fix things, because I just want to make sure I've got as much weed prevention as possible. But that's looking great. Okay, what's next? It's going to take a long time, this. I'm going to go for the shortcut and try not to get wet. I don't want to tip it onto this end because I'll break the tap. I think I'm going to go that way, and it'll have to run down the side. Let's see. I think I'm going to be patient. There's a lot of water in there. Of course, you all know that this is a no-dig allotment. I haven't done any digging at all this morning, apart from those raised beds. Oh, and the compost. And now this barrel. So this barrel is going to be useful. Danny gave me some elephant garlic, which I was very grateful for. And this barrel, I think I'm going to use for that purpose. Got a few stinging nettles in it. But the soil in here is good. So once I've got these out, it's going on those new raised beds. And rather than try and pick it up, I'm just going to barrow it over in a couple of drops, and that will release this for further use. I have got to find somewhere to put my lily, and this might be good for that. I just got to get to the bottom of it and see if it's got any holes. Right, I'll carry on. Well, sadly, it has got an hole, so I could bung that up. I could put a tap on it. There's a number of options, but I think I might have one that's not got a hole in it. So I'll hold on for a bit. In the meantime, I'll get that garlic in. Smaller, lighter loads is definitely the way forward for me. It was moving those garlic pots that actually caused my neck strain, so I need to take care. So, moral of the day is little and more often. Right, I've got 2 pots here, and I'm going to put some of that soil I've just taken out of that green water butt base and just fill the bottom of these, and then get a barrow of my fresh compost to put on top, and that's what I'm going to plant the garlic in. So I'll unload these and go and get some of that. This is a great time to see what this compost is like. You can see here now the side's gone. After loading that compost bin, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 times to the very top, in fact heaped, we've got down to about 18 inches of really good quality compost, and that's what goes on the garden. Some of this is not quite as good as the base, but that's okay, it mixes up okay. So I'm just going to use this as the start of that elephant garlic pot, and that should give those garlic a really good start. I'm going to be tempted to load this too heavy. I need to make sure I don't. Right, I think that'll do. There we go. So, this elephant garlic, as its name suggests, is ginormous. And the cloves, one of those cloves, Danny assures me if you put it in a frying pan, warm it up and just squish it, makes perfect sort of base for so many dishes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are a bit smaller, and there's 5 of them. So there we go. That's all my garlic for this season, and it's still an ideal time to plant garlic until it really starts getting cold, and the garlic needs that cold to enable the cloves to change and morph into multiple bulbs. So that's ideal. Let me show you these other pots that have been in here, well, you probably know, a couple of weeks now. Our way up, nothing in this one. We've got at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming up there, 1, 2, 3, 4 there, and there's none in that one. And looking back there, there's, well, the last bucket's got about 6 coming up, and the next bucket down, nothing, and then there's one in the following one. So they're starting to come through, which is amazing. And these are all being planted in my own compost, so it'll be really interesting to see how they do this year. Right, this is the last act of the day. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my video today. If you did, why not like and subscribe? And if you want my updates every Wednesday and every Sunday at 8 p.m, click on the bell. Right, let's tip this over. Good times.